The only time you cross your feet is when you attack. This is a standard lapel sleeve grip for a left-sided judo player. Notice my left hand in the position is nice and high, posting on my opponent's shoulder. This next grip is called a cross lapel grip. This next grip is entitled cross sleeve grip. Again, lefty versus righty. This is a classic double lapel grip. This is a double sleeve grip, where I grab both of my opponent's sleeves. This is an example of the power grip. This is an example of the unorthodox Russian grip. Notice that the arm is on the opposite side of the head. This is an example of the European grip. Notice they wait for you to reach, and then they grab your outside tricep. This is also a European grip. This is an offensive version. Notice that they aggressively go after your outside tricep by grabbing your lapel, snatching you forward, and then taking the outside tricep grip. This is an example of the belt grip. Remember, you only have 3 to 5 seconds to attack before getting a penalty for holding this strong grip. This section of the DVD covers gripping against same-sided players, left versus left, or right versus right. Please note that in the DVD, both players are left-sided. The key to successfully beating same-sided opponents is your ability to stop their power hand from grabbing your gi. If you stop the power hand, it makes it extremely difficult for your opponent to throw you. The two basic objectives to fighting same-sided opponents are: stop the power hand by capturing and controlling your opponent's sleeve. If you cannot get their sleeve, then stop their power side by keeping pressure on the shoulder of their power side. The goal of same-sided gripping, left on left or right on right, is to control your opponent's power hand. In other words, your sleeve hand is also your opponent's power hand. The objective to stop him is to capture his sleeve. In this example, I catch my opponent's power hand before it touches my gi, and then come up and take my standard lapel sleeve grip. In this basic left-on-left gripping example, my opponent actually catches my lapel before I'm able to grab his sleeve. I then pop it off with two hands. Once I secure the sleeve, I then take a power grip. This is the live example of me stripping my opponent's power hand when he grabs my lapel. Once you gain control of your opponent's power hand and capture their sleeve, it is very important that you keep pressure pushing downward on that sleeve so that your opponent is unable to reach up and either grab your lapel or grab your neck. The ultimate goal of gripping against same-sided opponents is to prevent them from having a grip on your uniform. Sometimes it is difficult to strip your opponent's power hand from your lapel. If you cannot get the power hand off, grab a normal grip. Try popping it off at a later time, secure the sleeve, and then take your traditional lapel sleeve grip. After you have secured your opponent's power hand, if he has your sleeve, you bring your thumb to your shoulder to reduce the slack in the gi. Make a circle with your thumb from the outside, bring it back to the inside to your chest, and rip away. Then take a traditional lapel sleeve grip. This is a close-up example of the circle sleeve break. Notice I make a circle with my thumb, going outside first and then working to the inside. Bring it up into my body, then rip away to break the sleeve grip. Please also note that I do not have my opponent's power hand secured. This is for demonstration purposes only, to break the sleeve grip. If you cannot get your opponent's sleeve, it is imperative to stop their power side by keeping pressure on the shoulder of their power hand. This is called posting the shoulder. To stop my opponent's power side, I must put pressure on the shoulder of their power side, the left side in this instance. I accomplish this by punching my right hand forward and grabbing my opponent's lapel with my right hand, making sure to keep my arm straight and high on the shoulder. I also keep my left arm up and bent, protecting my neck and the right side of my body. This hand is open and waiting for my opponent to reach with his left hand. Notice, I do not care what he does with his right hand. I must keep my focus on his power hand, his left.
Notice here that as my opponent reaches with his power hand, I grab his wrist and begin to push downward to secure the sleeve.
The following is an example of an ineffective attempt to post the shoulder. Notice that my lapel hand position is too low to prevent my opponent from coming over the top. Next is the standard gripping sequence versus same-sided opponents. Left versus left, or right versus right. I start by posting the shoulder with my right hand and grab my opponent's lapel and control his shoulder. As my opponent reaches with his left hand, I grab his wrist and I push it down and away from my body at a 45-degree angle. I then let go with my right hand and secure his sleeve with both of my hands. I have two options at this point. I can take a standard lapel grip, or I can take a power grip. If your opponent takes your sleeve, keep your focus on his power hand, his left side. Must make sure to keep my hand up and bent so that he cannot pull it down. Notice how high my left elbow is. This makes it difficult for my opponent to control my sleeve. I still punch forward with my right hand and I'm focused on capturing his power hand sleeve. Once I secure the sleeve, I then can break the sleeve grip by making a circle with my thumb, starting outside of my opponent's wrist and bringing it up into my chest. I then tear away my sleeve and set my power hand, taking a power grip. This is another variation of a sleeve grip break called the tearaway. If your opponent takes your sleeve, you must first gain control of his power hand. Then, in order to break the grip, you bring your thumb to your shoulder to reduce the slack in the gi, then quickly pull your hand away from your opponent and pull backwards. In this next example, we show what to do if your opponent tears his sleeve away after you have outgripped him. The answer? Start all over again by posting the shoulder and stopping the power hand. This is where gripping requires discipline. You must immediately grab your opponent's lapel and apply pressure to his shoulder in order to prevent him from coming high and crunching you. Once again, the key is to stop the power hand. This is an example of what happens if you don't post the shoulder after your opponent tears his sleeve away. You leave yourself very vulnerable to being thrown because you have the wrong hand on the gi and you have no way to stop your opponent from turning and attacking you. This is another example of what might happen if you don't post the shoulder after your opponent rips his sleeve hand away. You leave yourself very vulnerable and it is very difficult to stop the power hand from coming over the top if you do not post the shoulder. The other option you have when your opponent rips his sleeve away is to immediately break your sleeve free. This technique is called the slap away. Rather than post the shoulder, quickly slap his hand away and start on neutral ground. This section describes concepts and sequences for grip fighting against opposite-sided opponents. In other words, one person is right-sided and the other person is left. We will demonstrate these skills with the left-handed player performing the techniques. For right-handed players, the sequences are opposite. The basic objectives for left versus right grip fighting include: always fight for an inside grip where you control the inside space. Don't settle for an outside grip. It is inferior. Once you have a controlling inside grip, Immediately look to secure the sleeve. Get two hands on your opponent. Don't play one-handed judo. If you fight from a power grip, get inside control first, then power grip and pull your opponent to you. Do not give them space to operate and make sure to keep your elbow down. Try to keep your head on the outside of your opponent's. The ultimate goal of gripping is to secure an advantageous grip, which allows you to make strong attacks and also prohibits your opponent from doing the same. Don't settle for a bad grip. The standard lapel and sleeve grip, left versus right. Notice that my lapel hand is near my opponent's neck, on the inside and controlling the inside position. Notice how I grab the bottom of the sleeve and turn my hand down to take the slack out of the sleeve for better control. This is the ideal grip when fighting opposite-sided opponents. Here are some helpful hints and key points when fighting left versus right. Always take the initiative and reach first, making sure to set the lapel hand strong and gain the inside position. Your lapel hand should allow you to control your opponent's shoulder and prevent him from crunching you. Once the lapel hand is set, then look for the opponent's sleeve. Do not put two hands on the gi until your lapel hand is set. As my opponent reaches with his right hand, I block the hand hard with my right hand, pushing it away, and then set my left hand on his lapel. Reach inside to establish the inside position. At no time do I give up this position. If your opponent is making it difficult to grab his lapel, then reach and grab a low lapel grip with your right hand and quickly feed it to your other hand in order to secure the lapel in inside position. If your opponent tries to regain inside position, you can close the door by bringing your elbow in and down to prevent him from being able to grab your lapel. Notice how I slide my elbow inside and he is unable to reach my lapel. Once he comes back outside, I then reestablish dominant position with inside control by bringing my left hand up to his shoulder. If your opponent tries to gain control by bringing his elbow over the top and inside of your lapel hand, then drop your lapel hand in your shoulder while bringing your wrist to hit his wrist and pop his arm back to the outside. If you notice, I dip the shoulder and my body, hit him at the wrist, then reestablish inside position. After gaining and winning inside position, if your opponent refuses to grab the gi with two hands, come across to a double lapel grip, wait for him to reach, then secure the sleeve. The power grip is another acceptable gripping sequence for fighting opposite-sided opponents and is best suited for taller players who like to take a high collar grip. The power grip is perfect for players who like to do uchimata, haraigoshi, or sotogari. Key points. Take control of opponent's body by reaching with your right hand first and pulling your opponent toward you. Bring left hand inside and up high to secure a power grip with your left hand by grabbing a high collar grip. Make sure to keep opponent's head against your shoulder so he does not have space to operate, and your head to the outside. From here, you can attack from the lapel and power grip, or look to gain control of your opponent's sleeve. If your opponent tries to power grip and pull you in, make sure to set your lapel hand high to keep your space. Once lapel hand is secure, then look for the sleeve and a two-handed grip. The cross sleeve grip is an excellent unorthodox gripping method, sure to throw off any traditional judo player. I use my lapel hand 2-on-1 to secure this grip. It's important to pull this sleeve grip across the front of my body and bend my opponent over. Notice how I use my head for control and a powerful back grip to secure everything. The cross lapel and sleeve grip combination is an excellent way to secure a standard grip with your opponent. I reach with my left hand and pull my opponent towards me as I circle to my right. This brings my opponent's sleeve hand closer to me. I'm able to grasp it, I secure the right hand, and then I grab my normal traditional power grip. Gripping not only involves learning how to gain a competitive advantage by getting a grip you can throw from, but also how to break a grip once your opponent gets a strong grip on you. In this section, we will cover various grip breaks and defenses which will help improve your game. Breaking an opponent's lapel grip. Controlling the power hand. We call this the pop-off. Make sure to grab your opponent's sleeve with two hands and break his lapel grip by popping it off. Make sure to snap away at a 45-degree angle while maintaining a straight back and moving your body away from your opponent. Your right hand will be grabbing the sleeve and taking the slack out of the gi. Your left hand attacks the top of his wrist and pushes down and away from your body. Breaking an opponent's lapel grip, utilizing the pop-off technique to a cross sleeve grip. Snap the hand away from your body at a 45-degree angle while maintaining a straight back. Once it is off the uniform, pull the sleeve across and come to a high grip. An excellent way to break your opponent's lapel grip is with the lapel snap technique. With my right hand, I grab my opponent's wrist. My left hand is underneath, holding the lapel. To break my opponent's grip, I push my left shoulder in, circle my opponent to my right, and pull my lapel away from him. If your opponent grabs hold of your lapel, pop the hand off with both hands. Make sure to keep your back straight. Push his hand at a 45-degree angle away from your body. Secure the sleeve, then come up and grab a traditional grip. If I want to break my opponent's grip on my left sleeve, I bend my arm at the elbow, keep my elbow high. I tear straight back with force. With my opponent controlling my left sleeve, bring your thumb to your shoulder to reduce the slack in the gi. To free my arm, I circle my left hand to the outside of his wrist and bring my left thumb towards my own ear, moving my hand in a circle. If, after using the circle break, my opponent is still hanging on to my uniform, I then go to the tearaway and bring my elbow back forcefully. If my opponent has control of my left sleeve, with my right hand, I slap my opponent's wrist away. As I do that, I pull my left hand towards my body. This will break my opponent's sleeve grip. Normally, this technique is done immediately after my opponent tears his sleeve hand away from me. With my opponent controlling my left sleeve, I take my left hand and I arch my hand backwards and grab his wrist. I then start to push down on my opponent's wrist while I straighten out my back and shorten my gi. The following is a series of advanced grip fighting skills. We encourage you to watch these skills several times in order to master the techniques. Good luck with your training.